We hung this new back door at the start of the summer. Now that winter's coming, I should probably get around to installing that door handle. There are a few tricks to working with Tradco hardware, so if you're faced with installing one for yourself, stick around and maybe learn from some of my mistakes. First step is to find a position for the new handle, making sure it won't interfere with the handle on the security screen door. We can then mark out the hole positions using the supplied template. Using a 22mm auger bit, we can then drill the 3 holes on the outside face of the door. You may be able to tell that this drill's been with us through a few renovation projects. It can be difficult to drill 2 holes so close together. When you're drilling the second hole, the drill bit tends to slip back into the first. You can mitigate this by only drilling halfway through on the top hole. You can then drill the lower hole all the way through from the opposite side of the door. The template is used again to mark the holes on the inside of the door. Your marked handle height can then be transferred around the door using a set square and a pencil. The timber that this door was made from was soft enough that a center punch could be pressed into it to mark the hole positions. As mentioned before, starting with the lower hole makes it easy for the drill to make it through without slipping. You can see here that I accidentally installed the door backwards initially. There are some stray holes left over from where the hinges were. Clean up the lower holes from the other side of the door. Clean out the holes with your fingers, but be careful of splinters. I was thinking about using a clear coat over the bare timber, but the door has some other battle scars that would make it difficult to do this, so it will probably end up being painted. Moving on to the latch cavity now, we need to use the supplied template again to mark out the holes. Make sure it lines up with the holes you've already drilled. A series of 7 holes need to be drilled quite close together with an 18mm auger. I use a Nico pen or a Sharpie to mark the depth on the auger for reference. You could use a piece of tape to get the same effect. The latch cavity will need some chisel work to make the mechanism fit inside. You don't need to be too precise here. It's actually better if it fits a little snug, because it'll help keep it in place while you're working. Don't forget to clean out the chips before trying to test fit the mechanism. It's about as clean as it needs to be. Once we have the latch mechanism fitting nicely in the cavity, we can then slide the lock barrel through it. We'll temporarily install the outside handle now to keep everything in place for marking up the faceplate. Put it in position over the lock barrel. I like to mark the hole positions with a screw, since the door is a very soft timber and it seems to mark pretty easily. I usually mark the holes with a Sharpie because I tend to lose them sometimes. Drill your 2.5mm pilot holes. Put in a couple of screws to keep the handle close enough to its final position. Hang the faceplate over the latch and extend the deadbolt to confirm clearance. This also helps to keep the faceplate in position while marking. Trace around the faceplate with a sharp pencil. Try to keep the plate firmly in place and don't forget to mark your screw holes. Everything then needs to be removed to chisel out the faceplate recess. You may need to use the key to adjust the locking arm for removal. Do yourself a favour and drill out the screw pilot holes before you grab your chisel. Start by chiseling just inside the penciled outline of the recess. If you've never done this before, don't worry, it's not very difficult. Keep the angled side of the chisel outward and alter your angle of approach to regulate the depth of cut. Check your work with the faceplate as you go. That'll do, donkey. Refit the latch mechanism and the locking barrel. Offer up the faceplate and fit the two inside screws to secure it. Get all your screws started and tighten the ones that give the best alignment. It can be hard to get it perfect sometimes when drilling the pilot holes, but usually the alignment can be set with some fine tuning. Easy peasy. Drill your pilot holes, put in your screws, just remember to keep it aligned. Don't forget the two remaining screws in the faceplate. Maybe use a screwdriver if your door isn't a soft timber like mine is. Place the striker plate over the latch and close the door as best you can. The only reference you have is the tongue, so mark it on the frame top and bottom. Center the plate in the jamb and trace the outline, latch holes and screw positions. Drill out your pilot holes first. You've probably noticed that our house has hardwood frames. Foreshadowingly. Drill out your latch holes so that the latch will clear. The 18mm auger is about the right size. There is a plastic insert that I forgot about which covers the bare timber inside the striker. I'll totally put mine in later. Use the same tricks with the chisel that you did for the faceplate recess. Maybe use a sharper one than I did though. You'll have to chisel out your architrave to fit the tongue, but I chose a different option. That was just pinned there so I had a reference for the tile splashback. Sounds like there's a baby in the house. Apparently Tradco screws are all plated brass, so learn from my mistake and get yourself some actual stainless screws if you have hardwood frames. Maybe screw them in by hand as well. I managed to remove the screw and use some proper screws to secure the plate. My little man thought it was hilarious. He's one covered in cream cheese.
You enjoying your lunch, mister?
Well, I guess the overall mission was successful. It works, it looks pretty, and no one was harmed during the installation process. Check back occasionally if you like this tutorial-ish presentation. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so I don't have a lot of time to work on these videos, but I do enjoy making them. Till next time.